Hi, I'm Billy Weiss, a compounding pharmacist and health and wellness expert. Across the table is my co-host and producer, Mike, and we're going to do this podcast called Revive, Thrive, and Optimize so that we can help you obtain optimal health, wellness, and fitness.
Yeah, and this is where it all begins. The road begins here.
Yeah, I'm excited, Mike.
Yeah, and we're sitting in lovely Kings Mountain, North Carolina, wedged between Shelby and Gastonia, somewhere in there.
Yes.
And so if you've never met Billy before, you would have to live under a rock not to know who you are around here. And I know Kings Mountain's a small place, but that extends into Gastonia and beyond. But you're like the guy that everybody goes to when everything else has failed them. Like you're the medicine man or the wise guy that, once people find out about you, they're usually in bad shape when you say, if they're coming to you.
Unfortunately, Mike, a lot of it starts with people who are desperate. Yes. I've been doing this 34 years. And over the years, I've become known as the place to go for wellness, as the person to see for wellness. And a lot of times, unfortunately, it is after the traditional medical system may have failed them over and over and over. Now, as things have evolved, I've gotten more and more people who are already on their journey of health and want to stay healthy and want to become even more healthy. So I have a mixture, but a lot of folks are what I would consider at their last wit's end. Desperation has set in at that point. So
that's probably, is that how it all began? And then now the prevention thing, and just trying to live the lifestyle is just become a part of that, right? Versus fixing them when they're broke. It's preventing them from getting that way.
Yeah, that's a great point. And so kind of how it all started was way back when I was in pharmacy school. So I went to University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill Pharmacy School. And my last semester there, my grandmother called me. And I called her Granny, and she said that she had been diagnosed with cancer. And that's kind of what triggered me, Mike, to say, I don't really know anything about health and wellness. I just know a lot about drugs from pharmacy school. And so that's kind of what started the journey of me watching Granny go through traditional treatments. And I'll never forget, I took her to her oncology appointment. I drove from Chapel Hill to Kings Mountain to pick her up, took her to Charlotte to the appointment, and said to the oncologist when he diagnosed her with this type of cancer and said she needs this type of treatment and she needs to start now. And I just looked at him and said, so what else can we do to help Granny have a better outcome? And he looked me right in the eye, and I'll never forget it as long as I live. And he said, absolutely nothing. And that's when it clicked to me that I hadn't really learned a lot about health and wellness. I had learned about how to maintain people on prescription drugs.
The status quo. The
status quo of the traditional medical system. And that's what put me on this journey to be able to help other people obtain this optimal health. But yes, for me to live it and to be able to then experience it so that I can share it with the people here on this podcast, with the people that have been coming into the pharmacy locations. And quite frankly, that's kind of how you and I got started, right?
Yeah, because I knew that, the casting a bigger net by doing podcasts, social media, that kind of stuff, you could reach more people. To me, if I had to boil everything down to what you do, besides like, hey, the deep stuff where you analyze people's their test results and looking at different levels, it's really like you're an educator, like trying to re-educate people on basic nutrition that's sort of fallen to the wayside a bit in our culture for fast food and, stuff, shelf-stable stuff that's seemed to have creeped in and caused a lot of damage in the last 30 plus years, I would think.
Convenience. That's what you're saying. Everything needs to be convenient now. It doesn't matter if it's healthy, right?
Yeah.
It's just convenient. So, the thing that gets me, Mike, is how we have become so accustomed, I guess is the word, to just going to the doctor and getting prescribed a drug rather than an education. So I do consider myself somebody who is teaching people and giving them information so that they can make better decisions. You know this. My number one thing that I teach people is they need to be the CEO of their own health.
Yeah.
So when we look at the statistics, of the medical system, I think that it's clear that here in America that it's failing us. So if we depend solely on that system and we don't look outside that system and we don't educate ourselves, we're gonna have really bad results. And I think that comes out in all the research and studies and statistics that we see today.
And it seems to be in vogue right now. The things you've been doing for 30 years. I mean, you see a lot of the Gary Breckes and a lot of doctors out there on social media now that are talking about natural, fixing yourself naturally by eating healthier and having all the right nutrients in you. And with that being said, we didn't talk about this pre-recording or anything, but there's always these hot topics. It might be creatine one day, it might be something completely different or a particular disease. But and I'm not a conspiracy theory, but listen to this: the insulin thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
With it was costing everybody, and the government finally sort of capped, I think, what the max could be. And I'm wondering, does that have anything to do with, like, if you're capping what the pharmaceuticals can make, does that have anything to do with the Ozempic craze now, that like they're taking all those people and putting them on this thing that seems, people seem to be losing a lot of weight, but you're hooked for life. But what do you think about this? Have you looked into Ozempic? And
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, those drugs, Ozempic, Mounjaro, those are called GLP-1 agonists. That's that class of drugs, and that is, Mike, one of the hottest topics for sure in health today.
Yeah.
And so I have looked into them a lot. And you're right. If it's done properly and combined with education and lifestyle changes, it can be a short-term thing that can really help reset people's health. But when it's done by saying, here, go take this injection, and then next month we'll put you on a bigger dose, and then the next month we'll put you on a bigger dose, and then we'll move you up to the next dose, then it becomes more of a crutch.
Yeah.
And so they're going to be on it long term. And
for life even.
Yeah. So we don't have anybody in general in the medical system teaching these people, hey, let's use this to get you kick-started.
Yeah.
Let's make these changes. Let's follow the 5 pillars of the OptiURX program. And then you won't need Ozempic or Mounjaro long term. You will reset your body's insulin and sugar receptors. You will learn how to eat better. You will learn how to take the right supplements. You'll learn how to drink the right water, exercise, and sleep.
Yeah.
And when you do that, Mike, we see a lot of people on these Ozempics and Mounjaros, obviously, right now.
Yeah.
But if you teach the person how to do this, we see them burn only fat, which is a big problem because a lot of them are burning up to 50% muscle. They're losing, quote, weight.
Yeah.
But if we're losing muscle, that's a disaster. So we want to teach people to burn fat. And we have people that are burning fat and gaining or maintaining all their muscle at the same time. Whether they're using Ozempic, Mounjaro or not, it can be done.
Yeah.
But if you just give somebody that injection and say, do this, and you don't give them any education and they're still eating the convenience foods that you mentioned earlier, it's not going to be a good outcome.
I think that's what people are going to do. And it sort of reminds me of people that are diabetic that say, well, I can eat anything I want as long as I,
Inject more insulin.
inject more insulin. And that seems to be, it's a fallacy in our thought, I think, in our thought process of when you're taking your health seriously. But I think the pharmaceuticals love that. They love the idea that somebody's going to be on Ozempic for the rest of their life. Instead of that, the same thing with the, years ago when they put me on the belly pill, the acid stopper.
Yeah. Proton pump inhibitor like an omeprazole.
Which is supposed to be this 2-3 month thing max.
12 weeks.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So, but yet they continue writing a prescription for that for years and years and years. And you're just, you're hooked on it, type of thing. So that's why I'm leery of Ozempic or anything like that. It just seems like there's something else under the hood that we'll find out years from now, or you take it for a year and then when you stop, are you just going to balloon right back up?
Absolutely. If you haven't made the lifestyle changes, there's no question. And if you've done it improperly, and you've burned muscle, which muscle utilizes 70% of the glucose or sugar that we take in. So every time we lose muscle, we're going to make our bodies less efficient at burning the carbohydrates, the sugars, the glucoses that we take in. So I think not only are they going to balloon back up, I think what you're going to find is they're going to get bigger and sicker than they were in the beginning. Whereas if they've done it properly, it's going to be just the opposite.
Yeah.
So you bring up some really good points, though. Again, drugs can be very beneficial short term in a lot of cases if the changes are made. You talk about your stomach pill.
Yeah.
But all I taught you or all I advised you to do was use the probiotics and enzymes that I formulated, right?
Yeah.
And what happened to your need for that type of drug for your stomach?
It was gone, along with some other symptoms I was having that was the reason why they had put me on the quote unquote belly pill. That and a Benadryl, taking that every day for over a year, I think.
For what? Remind the audience knows.
Yeah. Well, for just having skin that would just rise up and get itchy, mostly in like soft skin areas. For no reason. And they said was some sort of allergy that was environmental. Mm-hmm. And I put that to the test on a trip where I, went somewhere and I threw myself off the belly medication. I still had the symptoms. So they were hiding some of it, the itchy skin, but it was still, it wasn't solving the mystery here.
Yeah, and it wasn't an allergy, right? It could have been an allergic reaction to your gut not working properly, which is what you and I talked about. So once we got you on the right supplements that fixed your gut, your need for that Benadryl and your skin rashes all went away, right? So think about it. We used 2 of my foundational 4 supplements from the OptiU RX program, which is all about Revive, Thrive, Optimize, which is the name of our podcast.
Yeah. We
used 2 of those 4 supplements to help you get off 2 drugs, omeprazole and diphenhydramine or Benadryl. And you never had a deficiency in either one of those drugs. You had a deficiency in probiotics and enzymes. So here's the beauty of that to me, Mike. The side effects of the average prescription drug, according to the University of Stanford School of Medicine, I have this documented in my book, The 21st Century Pharmacist, each one prescription drug has an average of 398 side effects. That seems like a lot to me.
Yeah.
So you were on 2 drugs. That study goes on to tell us that if you're on more than 1 drug at a time, if you're on multiple drugs, we don't really know how many side effects there are. I always like to say it's like Buzz Lightyear to infinity and beyond. We don't know.
because of the combination.
Yeah, because we don't know, we don't study all those combinations, right? They can't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's impossible because there's thousands and thousands and thousands of different combinations. So you took those two drugs and were able to discontinue those two drugs by using two supplements that only have positive benefits. There are zero side effects to professional, high quality supplements that are professionally formulated by someone like myself who knows the studies and knows what we're looking for, using the best quality ingredients, making sure they meet the best standards, and making sure we're not putting any toxic ingredients or chemicals in those supplements. So you went from something with massive potential downside side effects.
They say it like causes cancer now or something.
Absolutely, it can lead to more. So to something with massive upside. So I tell everybody, as a good CEO, it's an easy decision, right?
Yeah.
In my mind, if I can take something that has only benefit versus something that has tons of side effects, which do I want to try first? And which works better every single time is the right supplements, the right lifestyle changes, the right foods, the right water, the right exercise, and good sleep.
And I think beyond that, it's that I'm not, I'm preventing it from happening in a different way.
Yes.
It's one thing to have, okay, you're going to get inflamed, and this is going to knock it down. So that's kind of how I thought about it in my mind. It's like I still, whatever my body was doing, it was still going through what it had to. And this was just sort of masking it. Where, am I correct? Am I thinking that
Yes.
the probiotic and that actually prevents it?
It's fixing the issue.
Yes.
So here's the way I like to explain that, Mike. Let's say that you and I leave here this morning. I'm going to go my way in my vehicle. You're going to go your way in your vehicle. Let's say that the dash on my vehicle starts flashing a red light and says that I've lost my oil pressure. So that flashing light, I have two options, right? And I want your stomach issue and your rash to be that flashing light. Your body was giving you a warning signal, just like our vehicles do.
Yeah.
Now, I can ignore that flashing light. I can just keep going. I can stop and try to figure out what's going on. Or, and I think this is the drug system, I can just pull the fuse that makes that light flash.
Yeah.
And so I haven't fixed my oil leak. I haven't fixed the oil pressure. What I've done is taken away the signal, the warning, the sign, the symptom. And so that's what the drugs do. They just kind of disconnect the fuse. They cut the wire so that the flash goes away. You don't see it flashing anymore. You don't have the reflux. You don't have the rash anymore. But the oil is still leaking.
Yeah.
And so what the probiotics and the enzymes do, and what all the supplements are designed to do that I formulate, is to fix the oil leak, fix the problem. And when you fix the problem, you bring the entire body's systems up rather than bringing the entire body's systems down with the drugs.
Yeah.
So when I cut the cord, I haven't fixed the problem. The problem's still going on. I just don't even realize it as much anymore. And long term, that's a disaster.
Till the car breaks down.
Exactly. And here's the thing. With just the drug to cut off the stomach acid, the proton pump inhibitor drugs like omeprazole and those drugs that you can now buy without a prescription over the counter because the FDA tells us they're that safe, used to only be prescription. Those drugs long term have a list of really dangerous side effects, which is why they talk about not being used for more than 12 weeks. But the average person is on, and look, I've been doing this 34 years. The average person never comes off.
Yeah, it takes
because they never fix the oil leak. They never get it corrected because they don't know and nobody's telling them. They just say, "What, are you doing better?" Well, yeah. Okay, keep taking the drugs. And so I want to help people understand that drugs, again, can get us through tough situations, And sometimes drugs can certainly save our lives in the case of antibiotics for a type 1 diabetic, the case of insulin. But the average person should not need to be maintained on a big list or even any prescription drugs. And when I look around and see these people that are, I mean, we have people at our church, I have people in the pharmacy, I have people that I know that are in their 80s, 90s, that are sharp as a tack. They go out and they exercise, they live on their own, they drive, they go get their own groceries, they make their own meals. You'll find almost a universal aspect of them that they don't take any prescription drugs.
Yeah.
And it's over and over and over. I see it. And that's what I want to try to teach people to do. And if we can do some preventative things, if we can take care of ourselves starting now, you know, all the cells in our body might replace themselves every 7 years. So we're turned over every 7 years, our body. Okay.
Bone and everything.
Bone included. That's one of the last ones. That's one of the ones that takes the longest. A lot of cells are turned over much quicker than 7 years. So we essentially replace all the cells in our body every 7 years. So just think, if we can start right now, today, following the 5 pillars of the OptiURX program, over the next 7 years, it's going to make those cells much healthier, and we're going to be in a much better spot. Now, I don't know that we can particularly call it anti-aging. I'm not so much into that word, but I can call it anti-olding.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not aging. I'm not getting older at the same rate as a lot of other people. If I'm giving my cells the nutrients, the foods, the water, the exercise, and the sleep, and the hormones that it needs, then my body's next 7 years are going to be much better than the person who's not doing that, or certainly better than the person who's not doing that, who's on a list of drugs. So that's the thing, is I tell everybody, I want to feel 18 every day. And I tell people that I do feel 18 every day because I really believe that I do feel 18 every day.
Yeah.
But it doesn't just happen. It doesn't just happen. We have to do things. I have to work for that. I have to make the right decisions. I have to be a good CEO, right? That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, and this is such a broad topic. I can't imagine us ever running out of information for me to ask you about, and kind of pick your brain and look back at some of the people that you've helped and what they're currently doing. So
yeah, Mike, we'll never run out of stuff to talk about, because there's new stuff comes to me just about every single week. So if not every day, every single week. I have people from all over, literally from all over the world, that come to me for help. And when I say come to me, now today they don't have to fly to me or drive to me. We can do phone, virtual, there's ways, but just in the past couple weeks, I've done a couple consultations, wellness consultations with folks from Switzerland.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it has become a worldwide thing.
And that's probably word of mouth, I guess.
It is. They knew somebody here in the States that I'd helped, and that's how I ended up. I've done 2 consults recently with some folks in Switzerland. So it literally is worldwide.
Yeah, and then you also have a reach of people that are sort of, after learning what you've learned, and everybody's on their own journey, but that are like you, that are out there in their communities trying to help people live a healthier life.
Absolutely. Some of the people who've come through my OptiU weekend, my Wellness Summit weekend, they really are out telling people and trying to get them to come see me and trying to get them to start the supplements and trying to get them to improve their life because of how much better they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's what Revive, Thrive, Optimize is all about, right? Is let's help everybody who's willing to listen feel better, look better, think better. That's kind of the bottom line of what I'm trying to help people do.
Yeah, well, I definitely look forward to this journey and getting some guests in here that can help share their story so people can see. This is going to be a good this is going to be a good time.
It is, Mike. And some of these guests, their stories are going to blow people's mind. You've already heard some of them at the summit.
Yeah.
But some of these stories are I mean, they're tear jerkers. There's no other way to say it, right? They're mind blowing that how poorly some people may be treated.
Yeah, they're inspirational too. Though. I mean, it gives you kind of a sense of hope, especially when a lot of people come to you on their last bit of hope.
Yeah, I mean, when the medical system just kind of sometimes doesn't know what's going on, they'll just kind of, I don't want to say toss you to the side, but just like, there's nothing else we can do.
Yeah.
And I always think there's hope. There's things we can do. There's certainly things we can try with no side effects. If they work, great. And a lot of times people just, they get better, right? So that's what we want to help.
Yeah. Well, I guess we will wrap this first one up and
awesome.
Get this out there. And so that anybody that's watching this, make sure you like and subscribe. And we'll keep giving this information and send in questions. There's nothing that you won't answer on one level or another. So,
I would love for them to certainly send us questions. You going to put a link where they can do that, Mike, in the description of the podcast? Okay, and not only like and share, which will help us, but just tell people, hey, listen to this, please. Just ask them. While you're driving down the road to work or whatever, check this out, because we're going to dive deep into a lot of specific things.
Yeah.
You mentioned insulin. That's going to be a big one. We're going to talk in detail about the proton pump inhibitors like omeprazole and why we don't want to be on them long term. So we got a lot of good stuff coming up on, again, just how can you feel better, look better, and think better. I mean, we want people to be able to be their best all the time.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
All right. We'll see you again next time.
Yes, sir.
All right.